Evening all! Sorry, I think I just cut off the the music a little bit too soon. Sorry about that. Hello, how is everybody? I hope everybody has had a great week. I have had a busy one, but a really, really good one. Lots of really, really great things going down, and with lockdown restrictions being lifted here in Scotland, I've been away at my parents' again for another weekend, which is cool. It's my dad's 70th birthday on Tuesday, and we were going to go over there on Tuesday and then, come back on Wednesday morning. But unfortunately, we had to abort. We got like about a mile down the road, and then we had to turn back and come back home. But apart from that, it's been a really good week. So we went back again this weekend because we hadn't been able to get to my mum and dad's for his 70th birthday. So we had a nice weekend of celebrating his birthday, and I got him some studio gear for his birthday, which he was very appreciative of. And it was just an all-round great weekend, and I have been back in the house just about an hour and a half, maybe. And just got the kids to bed. So a little bit of a rush getting in here, but I'm here. So I apologize for being a few minutes over getting started. But there are plenty of people here. We've nearly got 30 people here, which is amazing for kind of just getting the show started. So who do we have? We have lots of people. Thomas was the first in the door. And Tony is here. Dwayne and Ken and Ski Jump is here. John Lake. Kyle is here. Loens. James Geo is here. Budbox Guitars. You guys have been chatting away, and Just Bob is here as well. Bobby Booth is here. John Lake was saying it's a big red button. Yeah, I know. I had to go and use the bathroom before I got started. Otherwise, I would have started the show and then I would have had to run out and gone to use the bathroom. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, big good evening to everybody. You guys have been chatting away, waiting for me to get in here. So thank you very much. And Mark H is here, and Britton Meany. I think, Britton, you are new to my show, so welcome. Good to see you, and I'm glad you're here. We have exactly 30 people here, which is awesome, and Photography, Light and Magic is here as well. So we've got plenty of people in the door. So, I wasn't sure what time I was going to get here tonight, and even whether I was going to arrive in time. I mean, I announced the show, I advertised the show, more in hope than anything else. More in hopes that I would be here in time, and we kind of just about made it. So a few of you guys are asking about my foot. For those of you that don't know, I have somehow injured my right foot. Don't know how yet. But suffice to say that there is no bone damage, no broken bones, which is great. And in the meantime, I'm taking pain relief medication and anti-inflammatories to try and get the swelling to go down sufficient so that I can put shoes on. And I kind of can put my shoes on now, sort of. We have to force them on a little bit for my right foot. But we can kind of do it now, which is great. But and I can weight bear a little bit now, which is nice. So I actually managed to walk around from the front door of my parents' house all the way around to the back without being in too much pain, which is nice. So just a little bit of a walk around was good for me. And that was just literally going around the house once. And that was probably all I could manage. But it's a start. And going up and down the stairs from the road up to my parents' house, because it's up it's set up hill from the road. So there's a couple of flights of stairs before you get to the front door. Those were a little bit of a challenge, but other than that, it was absolutely fine. Mika is here as well. Hello, Mika. And Bretton says, good job on my name. Yeah, I think I nailed it correctly, which is good. I'm sure, like me, you have people that have a bit of a thing about names, and Kyle as well. I'm sure Kyle is in the same position of of having people not pronouncing our names correctly or not spelling them correctly. So I'm totally with you there, Britton, on how to do names. All right, so let's get started before it gets too late. Mika says, can you tell us the significance of your orange and black JL Studios logo? That is a good question. There is none. I just like those colors. And it was time for a change from my old black and green colors that I had for my old logo. And so I changed it, nearly a year ago now. And I just wanted a fresh look because the old black and green look was getting a bit tired. And, my business has grown quite a bit, and I just wanted a fresh look to my site and my business branding. And so those were the two colors I kind of liked, and they stand out nicely. And so, I got a friend of mine to design me a logo, and, kind of what you see above my head here is what he came up with, and I think he did a pretty good job. I like it. So, yeah, there's no real significance to the colors, other than I just like them. So, but that's a good question. Yeah, there's no kind of like hidden meaning or anything like that. It just kind of looks cool, or at least I thought it did. And Tim Talks Audio is here. Hello, Tim. Good to see you. Welcome. So I think we have everybody now. We have 32 people here, which is great for getting a show going. All right, so let's dive straight into tonight's show. I have no idea what I'm going to do or what I'm going to talk about, to be really honest. But that said, we are going to look at some more of the new stuff in Studio One 5. There is so much new stuff in Studio One 5 that it would take us forever to unpack. Mika says I was referring to the orange circle and the black sections. Yeah, it just kind of looks cool. There's nothing significant about it at all. There's literally no meaning to it whatsoever. It was just the design that my guy came up with. I said, hey, I like these colors. See what you can come up with that would kind of be fresh and new and kind of loosely based on a kind of audio theme. And this is what he came up with. So I like it. I hope you guys like it too. And it's more red than it is orange. But hey, I mean, you're talking to the guy that literally sees no color, okay? But yeah, I kind of said, I like these colors. See what you can do with it. And this is what you came up with. All right, so we have nearly 36 people. So yeah, there is an absolute megaton of stuff in Studio One 5 that we could explore and we could unpack. And it's been, 4 weeks now since the launch? Nearly 4 weeks. 20 days, pretty much, coming up for. Be 20 days tomorrow for you guys in the United States. So I figured that a good few of you would have upgraded to Studio One 5 by now, and maybe some of you guys have had a good play around with it, and maybe you've got some questions, or there's some things that you don't quite understand how they are supposed to work. And so that would be the focus for tonight, really. It's kind of like going, hey, what issues are you experiencing with Studio One 5? And, what things are you liking, and what things would you like to unpack a little bit more and have explained a little bit better to you? And I will try and do what I can with that. Please bear in mind that I can't really do a whole lot with the whole aux channel thing because I don't have any external hardware synthesizers, really. I mean, I have this old guy, but really, the onboard sounds on this don't really work. They really don't. So I use this guy purely as a controller for internal VSTs. So yeah, so that's kind of what I do with this. And I don't really have any other external gear. This just plays audio, and I just have this routed in as strictly as an audio channel, kind of like a guitar would be. So yeah, and you can hear that there. So I don't have anything that I can demonstrate the aux channel, unfortunately. But I think my good friend Gregor has done a really great job on the PreSonus YouTube channel of unpacking the aux channel and how that works, and some of the MTC slave stuff. He has done a good job with that too. Again, that's something I could not really unpack particularly. Let's see. Bobby says maybe show them how to get your plugins picture to show all of them. Not entirely sure what that means. If you're referring to Waves plugins, yes, there is a known issue about Waves plugins. And some of it is to do with Waves don't all, not all of their plugins as yet, don't all work on the new C++ runtime environment for Windows. So some of those plugins are coming up blank, and that is a known issue. And PreSonus are aware of it, and the development team are aware of it. This is kind of a reoccurrence of an old issue, which dates back a few years to the last time there was a C++ runtime environment update for Windows. And Waves were a little bit slow getting their stuff updated. We early adopted, like we have done this time. And Waves and a few other manufacturers were a little bit slow getting their plugins and their products updated so that they run well. And so, yeah. So that is definitely one considerable known issue that we all know about. And the issue appears, particularly with Waves, to do with Waves 10 plugins. I've spoken to quite a lot of people about this now. Through work and also on social media as well. And a lot of people are saying that they have Waves 11 plugins working just fine, but not really the Waves 10. The Waves 10 and the Waves 9 ones are showing up blank, but Waves 11 ones, for most people, they seem to be fine. So if you have Waves plugins, I know it costs money to upgrade. That's one of the reasons why I left Waves behind, to be honest. Because, you know, their upgrade plan is, I do not agree with how they run it, and I do not agree with how much they charge for it. Now, obviously, they have to make money somehow. Definitely, I accept that, but they could be a little bit more kind of transparent about how it works. Especially for those of us that like to just buy our plugins and own them and only pay one time for them, and that's it, and they just use them. I'm kind of that guy. For the most part. You know, that said, I did have the Slate Digital Bundle for a couple of years. I no longer have it for a variety of reasons, but yeah. So I no longer use Slate plugins. I do use Plugin Alliance plugins extensively, and I've actually just joined one of their monthly bundles, which is great, and I'm going to see how well that works out for me. It gives me access to a lot more of their plugins, and should just, you know, keep that all nice and perpetually updated, which is going to be cool. So I have to see how that works out, and hopefully it works out better than it did with Slate, because updating Slate plugins I personally found on Windows to be a little bit of a fudge and didn't always work. And that's one of the reasons why I just said bye-bye Slate, to be honest. Let's see. Tim has just upgraded. Awesome. Bubbox says, I thought the vertical lines in the circle on your logo represented EQ. Really? Interesting. I hadn't really thought of it like that. Wait just a second. Okay. Something just popped up, and I had to read it and say, remind me later. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't really thought about it like that. To me, it just represents maybe some interesting audio-looking symbols. I wasn't really, you know, I thought, hey, it kind of does look like waves, I suppose. But yeah, I just liked the look of it and thought, hey, it's cool, and it would provoke questions like the ones that you guys have been asking about that. Let's see what else there is here. Ski Jump says, how do you create instrument volume swells so that you can use mix scenes and the volume swell sits within the channel fader level? You can do that with automation to a degree. Now, here's the thing with this. It kind of depends on how volume is mapped on your controller, how that works with MIDI CC and that kind of thing. So it kind of depends upon what MIDI CC you are able to send and receive on your controller, and where volume is mapped to in particular. So if you have volume mapped to a volume pedal or to the modulation wheel on your controller, like for the most part, I have it mapped to this. And if I want to do a volume swell, then I can just automate that using the modulation wheel. And I can either do that live in performance, or I can do that after the fact using the modulation wheel. And if it's mapped there, then you can actually also draw it in the automation lanes. We can have a look at that in a minute as well. David Teller is here. Hello, David. He says, loving V5. Can I ask about mixed scenes, though? Is automation included in the save? Currently, it is not. As far as I am aware, automation, as far as I'm aware, is not saved inside the scenes as yet. Who knows whether that will be something that is added. I believe over at answers.presonus.com there is a feature request for it, so go and add your vote to that. And we'll see where that goes. Bobby says, no, the one that was shown on Facebook. I've not been on Facebook for most of the weekend, to be honest, so I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. Snidely Whiplash says Waves will just use it to charge you again for the same plugin. Yeah, they kind of do that, which is one of the reasons why I'm not really that interested in Waves anymore, for as much as I like their plugins. And, you know, I have used Waves for a long time. Like, way back in the 1990s, I used Waves plugins, but not really anymore. Let's see. Dwayne says, I'm interested in the show page. I'm pretty sure most folks here don't gig live, so I didn't. Yeah, show page is huge. In my overview video, I did a whole section. The last, I think, 20 minutes of that 50-minute video is devoted to the show page. But I can give you a very quick, couple of minutes overview of it if it would help a few people. We can do that. Oh, good grief. And the chat just leapt forward into the future. Bobby Booth says, my Waves 10 works, but my 11s don't. As soon as I can find a CLA 3A, I will do away with Waves. Love the Plugin Alliance. Yeah, Plugin Alliance are really, really good. And Waves are a bit of a pain in the butt. Let's see. Mika says, me too. Jonny Lipsham should just make up some really interesting story of how the logo relates to the intergalactic forces. Yeah. Maybe I will, and maybe I'll post something silly on my website. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make a mock FAQ section for the website, and I'll just come up with some silly questions and give silly answers, and we'll see where that goes. Just Bob says, I didn't know about the upgrade scheme with Waves when I bought my plugins. Do they expire or just not work, or upgrades in Studio One? Here's the thing with Waves plugins is you can buy them, and for the most part they will work. But when they upgrade the plugins, you have to buy into the update plan. And when you buy into that update plan, I think it's a certain amount of money per, I don't really know entirely how it works. But when you buy into that update plan, your plugins get updated for a certain fee. And that fee can be, in some cases, as much as the price of the plugin that you have already paid for it, which to me seems very silly. But it is kind of what it is with Waves, unfortunately. So yeah, and it means that if you have bought your Waves plugins a few years back and they are version 9, as DAWs upgrade and update regularly, like PreSonus do with Studio One, it could be that your plugins, your version 9 plugins, will at some point no longer work with Studio One because, you know, particularly if you're on Windows, the runtime, the C++ runtime environment gets updated regularly. And so when that happens, your version 9 plugins might not work. They might not be compatible with a particular C++ runtime environment, which is kind of partly what's happened with Waves just recently. I'm sure they'll catch up. Very sure they'll catch up because I am sure already their technical support probably have a whole bunch of complaints about it right now. So, yeah. So there is that. All my Waves plugins work. Only issue I have is Studio Rack don't show in Studio 1.5. Any ideas? Studio Rack. If that's Waves, then yeah, that might be one of their problems. I don't know. Let's see. Is it possible to transform a track and not have the automation included? Good question. I don't think so. I don't think it's an option currently. But make a feature request. Is what I would suggest you do. Loen says, do you know if PreSonus Audio Box USB 96 25th Anniversary Edition USB audio interface comes with Studio One Artist 5? It probably does. More than likely does. Now that Studio One 5 is out and in the wild, any of our interfaces will now ship with Studio One Artist version 5 and not version 4. Pretty much all of our authorized dealers will burn all of their version 4 codes. They should do. That's what they should be doing. And we no longer have Studio One 4 in the PreSonus shop. So, yeah. They should ship with version 5. As long as he doesn't start quoting Vogon poetry. That's hilarious. I have the Waves SSL G, but I can live without it when I make the change to version 5. Yeah, I had the SSL E and G channels, and I tell you what, the Plugin Alliance ones are way better. They are way, way better than the Waves ones. They are vastly superior. Not just because of the 72-channel crosstalk that the Plugin Alliance ones have that the Waves just don't. You know, kind of that aside, they are still vastly superior because they, I think, are much better modeled, to be honest. So, that would be my thought on that, Kyle. Mika says, if one turns off the automation prior to transforming the track, the result of the transformation operation erases all automation. This is a real hindrance. There are workarounds. Well, yeah, okay. Make a feature request is all I can say, Mika, to be honest. Just put it out there and it will get looked at by the development team, pretty sure. Just Bob says, okay, my Waves plugins will continue to work with older versions of Studio One. To use, would need to write a track within older version to bounce as render track and move into newer versions. Yeah, that is definitely one way you can do it. If your Waves plugins will work with version 4, just, yeah, print the stems in version 4 and then move them into a new song in version 5. You can certainly do that. Mika says, I have an SSL G mixer. The Waves G compressor emulation is nothing like the real thing. Yeah, I learned on an SSL E. I never used the G mixer, so I'm not 100% familiar with the G mixer, but yeah, I would agree with I would have the same thoughts about the Waves E mixer. It's not the same. Ski Jump Toes says, I'm a Cubase user trying Studio One via PreSonus Sphere. Is there any serious advantage in upgrading Melodyne for vocals only? You will need Melodyne 5 to use Melodyne inside Studio One via the ARA access, which is unique, or at least was for a long time unique just to Studio One, because ARA was something created in partnership between PreSonus and Melodyne. So, yeah, you will need Melodyne 5 for working inside Studio One 5. So it's kind of a must, in my opinion, to, if you have Melodyne Essentials, which comes with Studio One 5 Professional. If you had Studio One 4 Professional before, and you have upgraded it to Studio One 5, but you're still using Melodyne, you were in Studio One 4, you were using Melodyne 4. If you had Melodyne 4 Essentials, you should get a free upgrade. Should, I'm going to say, in kind of underlined italics there, because it may be the case that you don't, but that is something that you will need to work out with Melodyne. Most people should. If you had Melodyne Essential with Studio One 4, you should be entitled to upgrade it to Melodyne Essential 5 for free. And then when you upgrade into Studio One 5, you will not need to claim a new Melodyne key. You will not need to do that, because your Melodyne key that you were issued when you purchased Studio One 4 or even Studio One 3 is the only license you get for free with Studio One Professional, okay? And it will carry over. Because, I mean, I've had Studio One Professional since version 2, and I've only ever had the one key from Melodyne. And it has carried over into Studio One 5, so I have no problems with it at all. And I forgot to breathe in that entire sentence. And just on the whole thing of Cubase, I used Cubase for decades. I used it from about 1989, 88, 89, all the way through until 2013. And that's when I switched to Studio One, and I have been a Studio One guy ever since. I do not even have an installer for Cubase. And I have no idea where my e-licenser dongle is. No idea at all. So, yeah. I recommend you switch to Studio One. I absolutely wholeheartedly recommend you do that. And I'm saying that because I used to be a total Cubase evangelist. I would go and I would be preaching, you must be a Cubase user. Cubase is awesome. You've got to use Cubase if you want to do anything in serious music production, especially if you want to get involved in working to picture. You need to be a Cubase guy. And that was the message I preached for decades. Until I discovered Studio One. And when I discovered Studio One, I had a Damascus Road experience, shall we say. And so I totally went entirely 100% with PreSonus and with Studio One. So there you go. Potted little history there. Ken asks, did you ever find out about installing an activation of the bonus sphere content inside of a parallel install of Studio One 4 Professional subscription to Sphere? You cannot install any of the stuff from PreSonus Sphere in Studio One 4. Because Studio One 5 is what comes with your subscription of PreSonus Sphere. And so all the content that comes with it is for only use in Studio One 5. Yeah. So you cannot use any of that stuff in Studio One 4. And the reason for that is because when you activate Studio One 5 with PreSonus Sphere, that is the only way that the content that is inside PreSonus Sphere will work inside Studio One 5. So it will not work in Studio One 4 because Studio One 4 is not part of the PreSonus Sphere. You cannot activate Studio One 4 with PreSonus Sphere. It just won't work. And so you cannot use that content inside Studio One 4. So there's your answer to that, Ken. I hope that helps. And Budbox is correct. There was a free upgrade for for Melodyne 5 in Studio One 4 Pro. Yes, there was when just shortly after 4.6 was launched. That is right. So most of you should have had the notification when you went to edit something with Melodyne, and it would say, "Hey, you have a free upgrade to Melodyne 5." Certainly, that was my experience. Let's see. Ken says, sorry, Photography Light Magic says, I got PreSonus Sphere and installed everything and it activated everything. Yes. If you activate Studio One 5 with PreSonus Sphere, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, then you will be absolutely fine. And you should be able to activate all of your stuff with Studio One 5. So let me go ahead and show you that right now. Right, so if you become a member of PreSonus Sphere, you will need to do this. You'll need to go to Studio One Activation, and you see this this option here, Activate with PreSonus Sphere. If you make sure that that is selected rather than this one underneath, this one underneath is the one that we are so used to seeing, because this is the one that we have always done forever. And probably if you already had Studio One before you became a member of PreSonus Sphere, you would have done this in the past. So what you will need to do is make sure this one is selected and then click Activate. And then Studio One 5 will be activated for PreSonus Sphere, which means all of the content that you have available to you in PreSonus Sphere, you will be able to access, and you'll be able to download it, and you will be able to activate it inside of Studio One 5. Now, one of the things you might come across is the odd occasion in Studio One 4 where it gives you the option to activate any new content that you had for Studio One 5 from PreSonus Sphere. I have seen that happen a few times. And the times that I have tried to reproduce it, when I clicked Activate in Studio One 4, it didn't do anything. The activation box just went away and nothing appeared in Studio One 4 at all. So, yeah. I think that's something that maybe if you're in Studio One 4 and you're trying to use the PreSonus Sphere stuff in Studio One 4, I don't think it's going to work. Certainly that's been my experience. When I clicked that activate button, it just didn't work. So I hope that that helps you with that particular issue. And somebody was trying to message me. Who's trying to message me? Okay, I'm going to ignore that for now. Not relevant. So yeah, so there you go. Hope that answers your question there. Mika says the PreSonus Sphere subscription is the best bargain in digital audio workstation history. I totally 100% agree with that. It is awesome. Here's the thing. If you are a member of PreSonus Sphere, when we get to Studio One 6, which we will do eventually at some point, when we get to that, you will get it deposited in your account automatically. You will not have to do anything. You will not have to pay any extra money. You will not have to do anything extra. It will be in your account, ready to download and install, and boom, off you go. You will be among the first people to have Studio One 6 when it comes out. And the same with Notion. When Notion 7 comes out, you will be able to do exactly the same with Notion 7. And any other new stuff that becomes available for PreSonus Sphere members, you'll be the first people to be able to install it and run it, and you'll not be paying any extra. Your, I think it's $14 per month will cover all of that. So you're getting nearly $3,000 worth of stuff for $15 a month, $14 a month. It's insane. It's ludicrous, in my opinion. In a glorious kind of way, it is ludicrous. It's a very happy ludicrous, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's a really great deal. And you get Studio One 5 and any future updates, upgrades for free. Notion 6.7 and the same. Plus you also get all of the Notion libraries, every add-on for Studio One that there is, and you know, you get things like the Tom Breckline drums, which normally costs, I think, about $30. And you get all of that. You get all of the loops that go with that, and there's a whole bunch of Spark stuff, which is super cool, which on its own is like $200-300 worth of stuff, and you get the entire Spark collection. You get all of the Fat Channel plugins, so if at the moment all you have is the free ones in the Fat Channel, boom, there you have all of the Fat Channel, and it's like 15 EQs and compressors available to you in the Fat Channel now. So the Fat Channel becomes a massive powerhouse to you, which is super awesome. So yeah, you get pretty much everything that we make, and it's very, very well worth it. For just like $15 a month. I mean, it's insane. Let's see. Just Bob says, it looks really interesting, but I'm pretty much a guitar player, not much of a MIDI guy. Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of people think the PreSonus Sphere is just about, hey, it's a cheap and efficient way to pay for Studio One. Well, yeah, it is, but it's so much more than that. It's not just all of the libraries and all of the sound stuff that you get, but you also get the collaborative tools. So we're talking the workspaces and being able to share and work with other musicians within PreSonus Sphere. So that might be other PreSonus Sphere members, and even people that aren't members. You can invite them as well, and they don't have to buy into PreSonus Sphere if they don't want to. They can just create a free My PreSonus account, and they will have access to your workspace, and you can ping stems and tracks back and forth and work with them on a project. And it's a great way to work. And, you know, I've been using Dropbox to kind of do what PreSonus Sphere does. I've been doing that for years, and now we have something that is PreSonus branded, and it's amazing from that point of view. Plus, you also get the expert chat. What is expert chat? Expert chat is where you get the chance to ask questions of some extremely well-versed folks in Studio One and Notion. So it's, you know, you get to ask all of your questions that you might ask in Facebook. You can ask them in the expert chat, and you know, there's about 20 of us there. And you will get a mixture of PreSonus staff. You'll get some of our PreSonus artists as well. So you know, some of our endorsee artist folks are among those. And some of our beta testers are in that as well. So there's plenty of folks that are, you know, serious. They have serious, deep knowledge of Studio One. That you can pick their brains about anything. Especially new features that you don't understand or you just want to get a quick answer to. Expert Chat is there for you. Plus, you also get exclusive live streams and giveaways and all sorts of fun stuff there. You know, there's like masterclasses from Joe and from Gregor, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff coming down the line as well. So yeah, so I hope that kind of answers that. And I'm not really trying to be a salesperson for PreSonus Sphere, other than I just think it's awesome, and I'm happy to preach the message of it. To be really honest, Bobby, that's hilarious. Bobby says, I'm still disappointed with version 5. It still doesn't make me a glass of sweet tea. Yeah. That is a great point. I am talking with our guys over in Hamburg about a tea making plugin. So far, I have made Arndt Kaiser, who is the general manager of PreSonus Software, I have made him smile, which is progress. We'll see where that one goes. Diego says, what's more important in Studio One, number of CPU cores or CPU clock speed? That is a great question. And it kind of depends. It depends because if you are loading up individual channels in your mixer with lots of plugins, even if you have lots of cores, you can still max out. And you can still end up with that performance meter going into the red. And you can still end up with crackles, pops, and all of that fun stuff that we don't like. You can still end up with all of that happening. Even if you've got like 25, 26 cores, you can still overload just the one core because you have all of those plugins running on that core. So that can still happen. So the secret is really don't load up your channels with like 10 or 15 plugins. You know, if you have to do that, I don't mean to be personal about this, and I certainly don't mean to be offensive in the slightest, but I would think that you maybe need to think again about, you know, mixing and mastering techniques and how well the tracks have been recorded. And actually, some of that might be outside of your control. It may well be that you have been sent some really badly recorded audio, and in that case, you have two choices. You either spend a lot of time and use a lot of plugins trying to rescue it and trying to fix it in the mix, or you go back to your client and say, hey, you need to record these again, man, because these suck. I can't do very much with these. So, yeah, it's a kind of tough little question. But, yeah, you want a computer that is fast. That is true. And you want enough cores whereby you can spread the load nicely, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I have an 8-core machine here, but it's 4.6 gigahertz. So it's fast as well as having those 8 cores. And they're all hyper-threaded, so, you know, that 8 can go up to 16 via the hyper-threading. But yeah. And it means I can easily mix an 80, 90 channel song with, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 plugins on each channel without Studio One breaking a sweat. So I hope that kind of helps you answer that question, Diego. Ski Jump says, I've used Reaper a lot over the years, but I should prefer a DAW to come as a suite. It makes moving across machines so much easier if you use the stock plugins and features like Chord Track and so on. Yeah, absolutely. See, the powerful thing about Studio One 5 now is that not only do we have a song page, an integrated project page for mastering, but now we have an integrated show page, and it's completely symbiotic. The way the 3 pages now work. They all integrate back into the song page. So what you change in the song page can update the mastering file without you having to start again. And then, you know, the same goes for the show page. What you change in the song, you can then update your show with. It's, you know, it's incredibly powerful that now you can not only record, mix, and master, but you can also perform all in the same software. You don't have to buy anything new. You don't have to spend a load of money on new stuff. It's already there inside Studio One. It's awesome. It's incredibly powerful. Mika says, Rewire allows you to use Reaper as a plugin. Yes, it does. However, Rewire is being retired by Propellerhead, so they will not be updating it anymore. And as a result of that, Rewire is no longer being updated in Studio One either. So bear that in mind. So as Studio One goes on through version 5, there will not be any updates to the Rewire library, because Propellerhead themselves are retiring it, so it will be dropped by Propellerhead. They will not be developing it any further. It is very old. It was very, very clever in its day, but it's kind of pretty old now. And I'm sure down the line there will be something else that comes along that replaces it. So yeah, so bear that in mind. Chat just jumped again. I hate it when it does that. Tim Talks Audio says, so many choices with the Fat Channel collection. Yes, it is awesome. The Fat Channel collection. You now have so many EQs and compressors to try out and to use. Jesse Martinez, hello, good to see you. Jesse says, I'm a newbie and in 4.6. What is Notion? Sorry for the lame question. I'm upgrading to 5 next week. It is not a lame question. Not in the slightest. Studio One 4.6 is Studio One. Notion is an entirely different piece of software made by PreSonus. And it is notation software. And it's multiple award-winning software, in fact. But it's completely separate from Studio One. However, since Studio One 3.2, PreSonus have developed this interoperability between Studio One and Notion, where you can actually send audio and MIDI from Studio One into Notion, and you can send notation from Notion back into Studio One. And you can do that either on the same computer or another computer that is on the same network as your studio computer. So, like for example, here I have my Mac over here. My Mac has Studio One 4, Studio One 5, and Notion 6.7 on it. This computer here that I'm sitting in front of also has those software. So I can send anything from Studio One on this computer to Notion on this computer. If I need to, for whatever reason, I might need to, and vice versa. I can send stuff back. So there is this interoperability between Notion and Studio One. However, they still remain two separate and distinct pieces of software. But with Studio One 5, we now have some elements of Notion brought into Studio One. We have the score view now, which allows for some basic editing of notation. You cannot print at the moment, and it is only in continuous view. There's no kind of like one-page view like you see in Notion or in Finale or in Sibelius or anything like that. It is just a basic score editor and basic score viewer, and gives you just some basic editing functionality. But I'm sure over time that is something that will develop as well. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see what comes down the line. Just Bob says, how much room on a hard drive does PreSonus Sphere take up? Well, PreSonus Sphere itself doesn't take up any hard drive space because PreSonus Sphere is it's online. It's basically your mypresonus.com account. When you become a PreSonus Sphere member, your myPreSonus account changes to a PreSonus Sphere account. That's what happens. And all of your software that is, in fact, why don't I just darn well show you rather than talking about it? It would be so much easier if I did that. So here is my PreSonus Sphere account. And I'm not going to show you too terribly much about the products because this is a live stream and I cannot blur things live. And I don't want to show all of my licenses or anything like that. Don't want you to see those. Give me 1 second. Okay. I can show you in this view. So here are all of my software products in this view, and you can see what I've got here. I've got some beta software, and I've got Notion 6 down there. Here's my hardware, and here's all my add-ons. Some of these you will see have this PreSonus Sphere logo on them, and that means that they come as part of the PreSonus Sphere. And there's all my Fat Channel add-ons. I had those already because I beta tested those. And then there's all these sound sets that come with it. You can download these or not as you choose. So whatever you download will be added to your computer. But you don't have to download everything. But as you can see, there's all of these. There's the entire Spark Epic bundle. And here's all the different components of Spark that you can get. So you can just pick and choose, or you can just get the whole bundle. And all of these, as you can see with the PreSonus Sphere logo, you can, if you are a PreSonus Sphere member, you can just grab those and download them. I already have the PreSonus Symphonic Orchestra, but it does come with PreSonus Sphere as well. And then here are all the Notion sound sets. Like you get even rare ones like contrabass clarinet, contrabass sax, and then you get jazz horns, horn section, oboe d'amore, which is an interesting instrument, piccolo trumpet, and then you have the complete PreSonus Spark bundle there. And you have Presence XT Editor, which allows you to edit any of the patches inside Presence XT, which is incredibly handy. And as I say, I've had that for a long time already. So my ownership of some of these predates my PreSonus Sphere membership. So that's my products. And then, of course, there's workspaces, which I talked about a little bit. I have 2 that I have created myself. And these are all the other ones that I'm involved with. Some of these were during the test phase, so they're not kind of that relevant, really. But yeah, this one isn't. This is one that I joined just recently, as you can see, July 10th, called The Lab, and I'm working on a project with Mike Johnson, who occasionally we see here in the chat, but not all the time. But yeah, so... And then, of course, you have PreSonus Exchange. These are the featured PreSonus artists. These are all the PreSonus endorsed artists. Gary Noble is a great guy. Spoken to him a fair few times. And there's Ryan Fluff Bruce. He has an extremely popular YouTube channel. If you're into guitars, his channel is fantastic for that. And then you can browse the Exchange and kind of like you already could in your normal PreSonus account, you had access to this, and also you had access to this inside Studio One as well. But there is some new stuff here as well. And then here's my little space in the Exchange, and I haven't created anything or posted anything up here yet. Mostly I just don't have time. And then there's my favorites. If I had favorited any, these would appear as well. And there's your upload button, so you can upload anything that you want to your little space. And then there's this Learn section. And this is where some of the other additional content is. So there's the expert chat button down there at the bottom. And then you can either just like access all the videos, or you can access them in their categories. So there's a whole section on Ampere. There's a compression masterclass done by Gregor and an EQ. And then there's exclusive live streams that only PreSonus Sphere members get to. And there are prizes given away at some of those, not all of them, but some of them. And then there's a macro masterclass. There's a whole section on Notion, sidechaining masterclass, vocal tuning, which is kind of like a Melodyne masterclass. So you get all of this educational stuff over here, which is brilliant. And then there are videos on whatever products you have in your account. So if you have Studio One 5, then there are videos on that. If you have Faderport, there are videos on that. There's a whole section on Notion. Studio One 4, because I still have that in my account. And then there's a section on Ampere. These are the demos of the different amps that I think Perry T did last year. And then there's this whole section, this partners video section. This is links you to YouTube channels by PreSonus partners. So Marcus is there, Joe is there, there's mine. There's Jonny Guibe. Jonny Guibe is a PreSonus partner. There's Gus Lozada. He does a lot of Spanish and Portuguese stuff. There's Groove 3, Obadiah, and there's the Studio One Tutorials YouTube channel, which is pretty good. There's some pretty good stuff over there. So yeah, so that's kind of how that works. So I hope that kind of answers your questions on that. How much space does it take? It doesn't actually take any space at all. Only what you add, what you download and add to your computer from all of that stuff that you have access to. Cosmic is here. He says, I was messing about with the new analog delay yesterday. Not a pretty graphic. Not just a pretty graphic. Yes, I love the new graphic interface for the analog delay and the rotor. The rotor is great because it actually now looks like a Leslie cabinet. And it actually even sounds pretty close to a Leslie cabinet. It's not perfect. There's some ways to go with it, but it's pretty damn good, to be honest. And I would use it. Donny Hill is here. He says, I just hate the monthly global BS. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. To be honest, not worth $15 for you. Well, that's your choice. The great thing is that you can just carry on. If you want to, you can just carry on purchasing your upgrade whenever the next .0 product comes out, like Studio One 6. When that comes out, you can just purchase that. And you can carry on as you have done for however long you've been using Studio One. You will always be able to get Studio One in the same way as you have in the past. That's unlikely to change, to be honest. PreSonus Sphere is just something new. It is a new way to have access to PreSonus products. That's all it is. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you get access to there, but as I have just shown you, and you get all of that for $15 a month. But you don't have to. And PreSonus is not going to force you in that direction. It is an option. You don't have to do it that way. You can just purchase your Studio One upgrade when it comes. You can absolutely do that. If you would prefer to do that, go ahead and do that. I don't have a problem with that at all. And I know that PreSonus doesn't have a problem with that at all. You can purchase outright if you want to. And that's not going to change. So PreSonus Sphere, as Tim quite correctly says, is not a requirement to use Studio One 5. If you want Studio One 5, you can purchase it from shop.presonus.com and own it outright, if that's your preference. It's just another way of doing it. It's not that PreSonus is going subscription like Avid did. No, this is very, very different. It's very, very different. You know, Avid don't offer you everything. They don't offer every other piece of software that they ever make or ever will make. Avid just say, hey, you can pay monthly to have Pro Tools. Yay! PreSonus says, you can, if you want to, you can become a member of a PreSonus user community, and you can have Studio One automatically upgraded and updated every time, and you can have access to all of the software that goes with it. So you can have all of the add-ons, you can have Notion and all of the add-ons, and so on, like I've just kind of said. So yeah, it's kind of different, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. No problem. Let's see. Budbox Guitar said I have a shed load of work to finish in 4 before I can think about upgrading. Budbox Guitar, you are a very wise man. You are a very wise man. That is the best way to do it. If you are still working on projects in Studio One 4, do not upgrade to Studio One 5. Don't do it. Wait until you've finished. Wait until those projects are complete. And when those projects are complete, create a little window in your schedule for yourself when you will upgrade and you will spend some time in Studio One 5 on your own before you have new projects to start. That is what I would suggest. It's kind of like take a little break, even if it's like a week. Just so you can get yourself used to Studio One 5 and you can make sure that there aren't any issues with your computer in Studio One 5. The good thing is that it installs to a new folder. So you can have Studio One 4 and Studio One 5 peacefully coexisting side by side. So if you find that you are having any issues with maybe third-party plugins in Studio One 5 not working great, but they work in 4.6, you can carry on using 4.6. You can absolutely do that, and there's no problem with you doing that at all. Cosmic says, gotta say I was anti-subscription model, but having dipped my toe in, I'm not disappointed. Well, that is great to hear. That is good news. Let's see. Bobby says, I bought Studio One 5 before PreSonus Sphere came out, but still got PreSonus Sphere so that I could get the other stuff to try them out. That's a good way of doing it. That is a good way of doing it. E. Hall says, so I literally asked a question about any talks of software update and it was totally skipped over. When did you ask that question? Now here's the thing. You know, I can only read so fast. And when I'm doing a demonstration or I'm looking at something in Studio One, I don't get to see the chat. So if I missed your question, that would be why, and I apologize. But let me go and have a look at your question, if I can find it. If somebody could point me to what time that was, I will find it. Or to be honest, you can just post it again. I don't have any issues with you posting it again. Like I say, sometimes the chat jumps. Jesse Martinez with the $5 donation. Thank you very much. You are awesome. I really appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you very much. Let's see if we can find E. Hall's question. If somebody spots it, please let me know where it is. I'm trying to find your question. Just repost the question. Makes life easier for me, says Mika. Yeah, it really does. I made it at 7:22. Okay, I'll go up and see if I can find it at that time. Because these are timestamped, but they're timestamped for UK, so I have to go back and search. But I will find that sucker. At 22. Any updates in the talks? Okay. That's a question, unfortunately, I can't answer. I know a lot about future things, but because I work for PreSonus, I'm under a non-disclosure agreement, which means I cannot talk about what I know. So, our updates in the works, I cannot talk about that. You are going to have to wait and see what actually is publicly released. So, unfortunately, I am not allowed, I'm not authorized to give any information about any upcoming software or hardware products that PreSonus makes, because I work for the company. I cannot talk about that. So, I'm sorry that I skipped the question. I did not do it deliberately. I didn't even actually see it. But having now seen the question, unfortunately, like I say, I am really sorry, but I cannot talk about it. It is just the way it is. It is, you know, it is the thing with companies that people work for, where they are in the business of making things and creating products. It's just something that I can't do for, I would think, fairly obvious reasons. So I apologize. Let's go back and see if I missed anything else. Cosmic says, versions have been lasting roughly 2 years for comparative costs, so roughly twice Basic Studio One, but with so much more. Kind of yes and no. I mean, there was a 3-year gap, actually, between Studio One 3 and Studio One 4. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a 2-year gap, just because there was a 2-year gap between 4 and 5. I don't know. Like I say, can't talk about it. Let's see. George Mateos was asking something. Can I ask you a question? How can I duplicate a bus in the mix in Studio One 4? Duplicate a bus in Studio One 4. Yeah, we kind of need a little bit more information about what you're trying to do, why you're wanting to duplicate a bus. Yeah, Give us a little bit more information about the context, and we'll see if we can help you with that. Photography says, if everyone in the world dies of coronavirus, will I still have to pay my monthly payment for... Pass. Let's see. Any other questions? Tim is saying you could use the splitter on the bus itself. That may be a good option. Yep, for parallel processing. Yep. Or you can do a you can certainly use the splitter to do parallel processing, and in fact I have some videos on that on this channel, so you can go and check those out. I did a whole series on using the splitter actually, but you can also do parallel send, not parallel send, a pre-fader send to another bus. So you can send a bus via pre-fader send to another bus, and you can do your parallel processing that way. I do it that way all the time. I could use the splitter. I'm kind of stuck in this kind of methodology of doing it via pre-fader sends to secondary buses. So yeah, what I tend to do is I tend to have my drum bus, which has my main EQ and compression for my overall drum sound, and then I do a pre-fader send to a parallel bus, and on the parallel bus I will put some pretty stankin' heavy compression on there, and then blend the two together. And it works beautifully. For me, it is one way you can do it. But yeah, I don't duplicate buses. I do like a pre-fader send. That's kind of how I do it. But yeah, there's different ways for different people, to be honest. That explains Sphere really well. Cool. Okay, I'm glad. Oh, what the heck has just happened to my screen? Wow. It's jumping like crazy here. Hold My Beer. That is a great name for your channel. I bought Studio One Artist and had no idea that there was even such a thing as PreSonus Sphere. Then I went on the website looking around and I saw it. Can I ask for a refund and get PreSonus Sphere instead? My advice there would be to create a support ticket and direct your support ticket to the sales department. When you create your support ticket, you should have an option there for where it needs to go, whether it's technical support or whether it's sales or whatever. Just direct it to sales, and one of the really, really helpful folks in the sales department will take care of you where they can. All right, so yeah, you can certainly ask, and they will give you an answer. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see. Yes, time flies when you're having fun. Absolutely, Mika, I totally agree. And we are 15 minutes over, so... and we have like 33 people here still. You 33 people are awesome, but you are also completely crazy, the fact that you are still here. So thank you very much, everybody. And I know I didn't get to everybody's question, and I apologize. So if you feel that you had a burning question that I didn't answer, please email me. And you just need to send your email to Jonny, Jonny, at johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk, and put your subject in and write the body of your text. You guys know how to send emails, but you know what I mean. Just send me an email and just put reference last week's Sunday Night Live, and I will answer your question by text, by typing in a reply, or if necessary, I will create a video out of your question and I will put the video up on my channel, and it will help you and it will help other people that have the same question. If I find, hey, actually, this is a really great question and would be better done as a video, because it'll help not just you, but it'll help everybody else as well. So yeah, so if you need to do that, please drop me an email if I have missed your question, or if you have a particular thing, a specific feature in Studio One 5 that you would like me to look at in next week's show, you can email me that as well. Say, hey, I'd really like it if you really drill down on this particular feature. Then certainly say suggestion for next week's Sunday Night Live is your subject, and then put it all in there. And I will build up a list of Studio One 5 features that you guys would like me to, to kind of dive deep into. And we can certainly do that. That would be cool, actually. That way, the next several weeks worth of shows will be about you guys and what you want, rather than me improvising a show, which is okay, but I'd much rather it be totally about what you guys are after and what you guys want to learn most about. So, we are getting awful late here, so I'm going to sign off. And I'm going to say thank you very much, everybody, for your great questions. And Just Bob has just reminded me, I asked you to critique. Yes. If you have a mix that you would like me to critique, you can send me the MP3. Make sure it's the high quality one, the 320. Send that to the same email address and just label it Mix Critique, and I will take a listen. And I will drop you some pointers, like a couple of bullet points of suggestions. Alrighty, so please do all of that stuff, and that would be great. And I will see you guys on Wednesday, hopefully. Depends on Johnny's family situation at the moment, so be prepared for next week's Songwriting Simplified to be in a state of flux. It might be. But Jonny and I will do our best to keep you guys all informed. So we may be here, or we may be over with Jonny on his channel for Songwriting Simplified. So yeah, I will see you then. Good night, everybody.